This is part two of Why Badass. Anyway, um, I just love modern architecture. I love modern art. I love ultra modern, everything ultra modern, and it is beautiful, and there shouldn't be anything bad seen about it. It's not bad, only for maybe for like fundamentalist religious people. It's sort of threatening because it turns their life upside down. It turns the platform they stand on upside down. But it should be seen as something wonderful if it turns your view on the world upside down and inside out, because that's what reality is all about. It is There is nothing fixed. There is nothing stable. There is no security in something. There is no finality. There is no linearity. Everything is in a flow, in a flux, in a constant flowing and moving and becoming. Okay? So you are not in control of anything, whether you're religious or not. Embrace it. Okay? So embrace modernity. Embrace modern innovations. And there are so many amazing architects who are also artists at the same time. They don't just create a building like back in the 50s, that one looks like the other, and it's just some kind of governmental building, and it has absolutely no art in it. Most of them are like this probably, or some Soviet buildings back in the 50s. It's very bleak, very horrible to look at. Those are not artists. Those are just architects. But there are those architects who are also artists. And those are the innovators. Those are the movers and shakers. And I I recommend to people to look at this amazing art of the amazing modern architecture of Zaha Hadid, or this is my number one, my most favorite architect. Okay, she died tragically from a heart attack last year. This is very, 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 very strange what happened there, and it doesn't look very good. I don't know what happened, and I don't believe right away the official stories, but yeah, so it's very tragic that she died. She wasn't very old. She was in her 60s, and the world leading architect, the best architect, the best in history, the best now, the best in all history, and probably the best for all future to come. I don't know. So maybe she'll be reincarnated into another architect. But this is my favorite, and she's my choice. I choose her as the number one, as the best of all. And so all the male architects out there, some of them they don't like that very much. Yeah, it triggers the ego. But yeah, that's living, that's flowing, that's how life is. And she's even from Iraq, on top of all. That probably makes some Iraqi men really, really angry, and makes them feel like castrated, or makes them feel like controlled, or makes them feel like they're no longer in control. And you know what? That's good. We need to go in that direction, because this is what moves things forward, to get out of these old ego controlling mechanisms and go into the flow of things. Look at the architecture. Look at all the buildings by Zaha Hadid. I highly recommend it to all of you. And look at the buildings by Louis Kahn, an amazing architect who also tragically died way too young, at age 74 or something, and very sad. And look at the architecture of Frank Gehry and Richard Meier. Those two are still alive. And my dad's, he's still alive too. So, my dad is a great architect. He's also an artist architect too. Yeah. So, really beautiful, beautiful architecture, nice. My dad's style, as he calls it, as postmodernism. It is a very specific hand signature. It's a very specific style. It is it is a beautiful landscape. He likes landscapes, and he likes little pointy amplitudes, and that is how he also designs an entire building complex. And it is very pretty and very beautiful and gorgeous. And Zaha Hadid is still my number one, but that's just how it is, because it is ultra modern, and that is what I love. I love ultra modern. And so I like to watch the films about ultra modern architecture, and some of those buildings are for sale right now, between $30 and $50 million, and some of them are homes, and beautiful homes. And the problem that I have is with some of those homes, that they are decorated, and I don't know whether the person is going to take that out or leave it blank for the next buyer, or whether they just leave all of that in there, including the horror movie poster paintings, or glass frames, or whatever, but I think they'll probably take those out. But still, I mean, like, to show this, to make videos of these homes that have horror images as paintings or posters, I don't think that's such a good idea. Maybe they should take those paintings off first before the realtor takes photos or makes a film with it. That's just my view on it, because it doesn't serve the world, it does not help to bring things forward, to move things forward, to show these images, even if it just happens to be there. But I would take that off if I was a realtor, for sure. I would make sure I would not capture that image in a photo or the film. But when I see these things, that is when I am again thrown back at the situation of this status quo of what is happening right now in the world. It's wherever I look, I want to look at architecture, I want to look at beautiful homes, and I am again confronted with hostility, coldness, badass images, badass characters. When I see someone's home and their decoration, I see their entire personality. I see everything about that person. It's like an open book for me. And what I see so much suffering. I see so much clenching and clinging, and so much resistance to flow. It's all it is about is they are trying to impress their friends. They're trying to out bad each other. Look, this is pathetic. Don't you see it? Can't you see this? How pathetic that is. Let's do away with it. Let's do it better. We can do it better. We can make it better. We can. If you want to live large, then do it. But don't live with horror images on the walls. That doesn't impress anyone who has more brain cells that are free and more brain cells altogether. So free yourself from this, people. Liberate yourself. Go with the flow of things and start painting. And if something is painful in the past, because there's always something painful that's pressing underneath that drives you to become like this, then paint that out instead of acting it out. Paint this out. Make an art piece out of it. Don't depict the horror scene again the way it was. Paint out how it feels when you see. Paint the pain. Paint the pain of the past. The pain needs to be painted. And when you paint it, then it is a flow. It's coming out in a flow of things. And do it for the flow, like what Jonathan Mese said. Let art rule this world. If you let art rule the world, then you no longer let the ego or religion rule. Does this make sense? And everyone in the world would benefit from this. Every Middle Eastern person would so greatly benefit from this, from being freed from the shackles of this religion, from the mind shackles of any kind of hate group that is shooting cops and people and throwing eggs at people who even help them and so on. Free yourselves, people. Free yourselves from your own enslavement. No one is enslaving you. Okay? You are doing it to yourselves. Free yourselves from it. Okay? Fourth generation mind enslavement. But it's happening in all humans. It happens everywhere, particularly in the Middle East and Africa. And it happens in those people who think they are disadvantaged. They think the white man is still holding the strings. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. Stop doing this. You are hurting only yourself by doing this. No one is pulling your strings, okay? Nobody. You don't need to be impressing someone. You don't need to be badass. You don't need to get into the horror images or brag how the horror movies don't cause your heart rate to go up and all this bullshit from the ego. Don't you see this, people? Don't you see how incredibly ridiculous that is? Don't brag anymore. Go within yourself. Go inwardly. Go into stillness. Sit in nature. Listen. Listen to the sounds. Listen to that what is, okay? Listen to it. This is not some intellectual blabber. This is the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Stop feeling victimized. No one is victimizing you. You're now only victimizing yourselves. No one is victimizing you. And I'm telling you, for all the liberals out there, if you when you bring in radical people, more radical religious people that only have one thing in mind, and that is Sharia law, to kill everyone off that is not a Muslim. When you do this, you just create horror to yourself. You bring, and you're doing this again. You're doing this out of peer pressure. You're not doing it out of common sense. It's only peer pressure. The only one who dares to say something about this right now is Donald Trump, the only public figure who has the guts to talk about this. Everyone else is cowering down under the fear of being labeled racist or Islamophobic. And it is so pathetic. Think about this, think. Sit down, let this, drop the egos. Start to think about it and realize it for what it is. Then everything becomes clear. Then you don't have to cater to peer pressure anymore, or to some liberal people's expectations, or you want to belong to the Harvard community or the intellectuals. That's not intellectual, okay? That's pathetic. That's peer pressure. You need to separate the dirt from the grains. You need to see the pearls in this brown soup. Look at it. Look at this. Look at the situation. I don't know how else to bring this across, really. This is just an attempt to. I'm trying to get people to understand. Don't feel the need to hold on to a guru because he comes across as having a more higher self-esteem. Just because someone has a higher self-esteem doesn't mean they have the last word in something. Okay? Sometimes it's the meek person who has way more insight into things. Think about this. And you don't have to latch on to anyone. Sit down and come to your senses. And stop catering, stop needing other people's approval. Stand for yourself. Or at least practice this for 1 hour a day. And that's what true meditation is. Meditation is not about following a mantra or listening to a guru. Meditation is to really get into it, to really introspect. That's why we sit in quiet, because then we can introspect. We can't meditate when there are soap operas playing around us. It's impossible, because then we get more of the social norms fed to us. Stop all of this. Sit in quietness, even if pain comes up and sadness. Write it down later. Talk to someone about it. But practice this for 1 hour every single day. Go into yourselves. And things will fall into their puzzle spaces by themselves. You don't even need to do anything about it. All you need to do is let go of this clinging and the struggle. And things will fall into place. I promise this to you, okay? You guys take care. Bye-bye.